So I started this page and I already have part of it done, but I thought I would go back over how I got this far. And what I did was I had, thoughts in my head about a person. This is my journal and it's mine, so yours is going to be different. But I was thinking about a specific person when I heard a song on the radio. It reminded me of them. So this is a little a blurb about why that song reminded me of them and my thoughts. And sometimes I like to get those thoughts out, and that's what kind of my art journal is about, getting out my thoughts. It's also about play, so sometimes it's just a fun exploration. But this particular page, I'm hoping will work nicely. And what I did was I wrote out what I thought about that person and my thoughts on this, what the song meant to me. And before I wrote it in here, I had to make sure that it fit, because there's nothing worse than getting halfway through a page and realizing that you've made some critical error. And I wanted to make sure that I did not do that. So my first step after I had this vision in my head was to see that it worked by kind of figuring out the sizes of these letters, and that even wasn't good enough because there's all this white space, empty space, so I had to make sure that they worked. So what I did was I kind of traced over the letters with this vellum paper. You can use any paper, a copy paper, whatever, something that kind of figure out your size and get it pretty close, and just make sure that what you want to say fits within the parameters, and mine did. So I did have to write an extra sentence because when I wrote on the vellum, I used a thicker marker, and I wanted to say a little more, and I realized that the marker was a little thicker, and so I used, that was an 08 micron pen. I switched to my 03, which has a thinner nib, and I was able to write a few more sentences. So I was able to get that all on my paper. And I'm talking about my saying, and now I'm going to do the background, but I didn't want to cover my saying. And sometimes when I write in my journal, I totally want to cover what I wrote because I'm just getting out some feelings and no one needs to know what's in there. And then I cover them with something like clouds or whatever it is that I'm feeling. Sometimes I cover it completely. Sometimes I barely cover it so you can kind of see through. But I wanted this to stay. So I used a masking fluid. Now this masking fluid, after I used it, I realized it was one of my older masking fluids. And I am not sure that it's going to work. So this is going to be a surprise whether or not this works. And if it does work, then I'll post this video. And if it doesn't work, then no one will ever see this video. So, and don't bother trying to read my writing here. It's pretty messy. It's just for me. And and it's, it is what it is. So I'm using, and you can use different paint here. I'm going to use my watercolor paint to go over the masking fluid. Watercolor is nice, and it'll resist the areas where I have that masking fluid once it's completely dry. And there's different brands of masking fluid, and I found this jar and I thought it was a newer brand that I bought by Pueblo, and it's not. It's this, I don't even know what brand this was, and I found it. It's incredibly old, and we'll see what happens. If not, I can always cover the whole thing with some acrylic, right? So I'm using some watercolor paints here. These happen to be a collection of paints. Some of these are, this is a mixture. They're not all the same. Some of these are like Derwent, these two. And some of these are Cotman from Winsor Newton. This whole row here is from Let's Make Art. I think they use Art Philosophy for these tins. Anyway, Let's Make Art. And any watercolor paints will do, or inks. I like using my inks too. And I'm just going to grab a brush. I'm doing this really loose. This is my journal. This is just art therapy. I'm just going to grab some blues. Actually, let me spray my paints. And you can wash these tins out, but sometimes it's kind of nice to not worry about it. All right, let's see if this resist works. I'm just going to put down a cloud. I'm just doing a quick and loose background of sky. This song is about mountains, and well, it's not about mountains. It mentions mountains, and so I'm kind of going to do a little sky, very loose, and then I'm going to come in. I like using my pan with the kind of leftover paints. For some reason that makes me happy. So I'm going to just kind of put in a mountain here. And it looks like my masking fluid is working. You can see how it's beaded up. So when I take that masking fluid off, hopefully I will have what I wanted, which is just a quick little journal entry. I'm gonna do, I like to just play and mix. I'm bringing in a little green for a deeper color. And I'm gonna kind of go, not deep enough. Let's bring in more. Now, when you go, something is still kind of wet, it's gonna bleed into each other. You're not gonna see the definition of the different mountains. So I might let this dry for a second. I'm gonna go with a more purpley, misty mountain in the back. So I'm gonna still use that brown, but I'm purpling it up a little bit. And you can see I'm going really loose. This is not a masterpiece. This is a journal entry. And so for me, that can be the same thing. A journal entry can be a masterpiece. But for me, it's about what I wrote and my thoughts. So I am getting that out there. And so I'm going to let that sit for just a second. And I really want the U to stand out. So I'm going to actually go over with kind of a gray. Let's see what I can make over here. Sometimes if you just mix all your colors, I don't want a brown, I want a gray. So I'm just gonna kind of go along the side. Okay. All right. And what else am I going to do? Oh, this is so fast. It's coming together nicely. I think I'm going to do another layer here with this dark. That's going to bleed out, but that's okay. I can go back over and make that stripe stronger. So my word is you, obviously, because I'm writing about somebody. And my mountains are because the song is about moving mountains, or not being able to move mountains. And that's what I'm thinking about here. And so I did that. What could your word be? What is on your mind? And think about it. And you can make this, maybe the word love is on your mind, maybe patience, something bigger even. Maybe it's not a song, maybe it's something else. So think about what word you can use and get your feelings out. And I think it's very therapeutic to do that, to just kind of get your feelings out and say what you want to say, and no one has to read it but you. And you can call it done. And I went super loose and not even trying to make nice clouds, but you can kind of do whatever it is that's on your mind. And maybe you want to take more time for your sky than I did. But like I said, for me, it was about the written part. All right, so I'm going to leave it and I'm going to call it done. So what happens is I have to wait for this to dry, and then I'm going to remove this. Actually, I'm going to go one more time with my shadow layer on the sides here. I want to show you in case this is the first time you visited my little channel here, I want to show you what this journal is, because right now it's available on sale, and it may not be. I'm worried that they're going to discontinue it and then I'll have to make my own, but I really like this one. Okay, so this journal is by Carpe Diem, and it's a mixed media. Now they make other journals that say dot journal. They make some that say So this is a plain one by them, and it's just travels journal. It's just for writing. They make some that say dot journal. This one is a mixed media journal, and the reason why I like that is because it will withstand my watercolor, but it will also withstand pastels, and it will hold up to acrylic and glue and all kinds of things, paper getting glued to it. So it's a really nice journal, and I like the size. And you can sometimes use both pages together like I did here, or you can use them separately. And anyway, it's a nice journal and I like it. And this holder is currently also on sale at letsmakeart.com, and it's in their sale bin. And normally these were like 20 something dollars, and they're on sale for like $12.95 or something in the US. And I just really like this size, and you just keep adding to it with these little books. And it comes with this paper journal in it. It does not come with these in it. You have to do these yourself. So when they stop making these, which someday they will, I will have to make my own inserts, and that's a little sad, but it's pretty simple. It's a simple little binding, but for now, and I have many of these, and so I bought several of these, as you can see, and so these will last me quite a while, and I just keep filling them and filling them and filling them, and they go on my shelf. And so someday someone might look through these, like my children. So some things I don't want them to read, I put underneath something, but if I don't mind them reading this. This is about one of my children, and I love them. So someday maybe they'll read that. And anyway, so this is my little page. So let's see if it's dry enough to move, and now we're going to see if it really works. So to take it off the masking fluid, sometimes you can just use your finger and it's going to kind of turn into a ball, but there is a nice little taker offer tool, if I can find mine, on my desk. My desk, if I could zoom out, is a complete and utter disaster right now. It was here not too long ago. Let's see. Okay, I found it. It's this crazy little gummy picker upper. It's like a gum eraser, some kind of, I don't know what you call it, but you can just kind of rub it along, and it helps you pick up this masking fluid. And I think I mentioned this masking fluid is incredibly old, so it's kind of turning into this gummy goo, which normally it doesn't do, the newer stuff. But at least it's coming off, which I was concerned that it wouldn't. It's going to take more work than average to get that off. There is definitely a shelf life to masking fluid. And there's definitely a quality issue. You know, sometimes you can get away with less expensive or cheaper versions of things. With masking fluid, I would go with the best you can afford. I have a masking fluid pen in my to-go bag, which I should have taken the time to get, because I do like that. But my newer masking fluid, when you lift it up, it kind of comes up like a plastic sheet almost. You can almost take off the whole letter just once you've got it peeled. Okay, I got all of the sticky off of the Y, and I think I will not show you the rest of that. I can finish it and I'll fast forward it. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that, again, this is not as difficult if you use better quality products. I like to use what I have in my stash. I have quite a hoard of art supplies, and I want to just say that it's a nice way in an art journal to just get out what you want to get out. This is kind of like a letter to someone that I'm never going to send, but that's okay, and just get out your thoughts, and it's kind of nice, little therapy, little art therapy, and you can take your time with it, or you can go really quick. I like to sometimes take hours on a journal page, and sometimes I can make one in 10 minutes. So it's just, what you want to get out, and art journaling is so therapeutic that way. So anyway, once I get all the gummy off, this is smooth and there's no stickiness to it at all, which is really great. And you can add, once you've got that off, you can add even more, but I kind of like the simplicity. I'm gonna date it and leave it. So I'm going to finish this on fast forward. I hope I've inspired you. Who would you write a letter to that you're not going to send, but who do you wish you could say something to, or some song on the radio reminds you of a specific person, and you want to say why it reminds you or what your thoughts are on it that maybe you don't want to say in person. Get it out of your system in a page. So I hope I've inspired you to make a little journal page. And leave me a comment in the comment section about your thoughts on this little brand of art therapy. Okay, all the masking fluid is off. I dated it. I've got it down there. Things I've learned. 1, use a good masking fluid. 2, there are other erasers. If they get gummed up, take the gum off every so often. And if you notice, at first I was kind of working in a circular motion. Later, when I got to the U, of course, when I was almost done, I realized that just strokes going down actually frustrated me less and worked more efficiently. so long strokes. Also, you don't need to use the masking fluid. If you don't have masking fluid, just be careful when you paint around. I liked the idea of being able to go across the whole mountain and not worry about clouds starting and stopping and being quick. But it ends up not being quick when you have to then take off all the masking fluid. So you can decide, and again, how detailed you want to be versus how detailed I was. I was trying to just make a very quick get out my feelings page, and so it depends on what you're doing. So have fun with it. I hope that you'll make a page. I think art journaling is such a creative release and a nice thing to do. So enjoy. Bye.